If the innovators challenged convention for over half a century, Robert Frost reminded us of who we were as Americans.
No writer in the first half of the 20th century spoke more for the American people, pointed out America's greatness, praised America's ideals, revealed America's boundless energy and rich traditions of life. No writer paid tribute to America more than her premier poet laureate, Robert Frost. Frost was born in San Francisco on March 26, 1874. The family, following the death of his father 11 years later, returned to their original home in New England. It was here that Frost attended college at Dartmouth and Harvard. It was here that he worked as a farmer, editor, and school teacher. And it was here that he soaked up the richness of New England life that would make him 20th century America's greatest poet. In 1923, Frost wrote one of his most enduring poems, Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening. It was a poem that would win him his first Pulitzer a year later.
Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near, between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. Robert Frost, Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening.
Frost's poem is a symbolic crossroads for the country, a turning point in the direction of American culture, American life. It is the turning point from the old to the new, from the 19th century to the 20th century. The snowy woods represent the rural life that had sustained the country from its founding, and yet there is a new America waiting, an America of technology and science. For the next 40 years, he would be America's poet, his poems showing what America had been and what it was becoming. His poetry would win 4 Pulitzers, but his greatest acclamation as America's poet came in 1960, when Congress voted Frost a gold medal in recognition of his poetry, which has enriched the culture of the United States and the philosophy of the world. But in 1961, he addressed the nation at John F. Kennedy's inauguration and gave to the American people his last great piece of wisdom. Here's what he said.
The land was ours before we were the land's. She was our land more than 100 years before we were her people. She was ours in Massachusetts, in Virginia, but we were England's, still colonials, possessing what we still were unpossessed by what we now no more possessed. Something we were withholding made us weak until we found out that it was ourselves we were withholding from our land of living, and forthwith found salvation in surrender. Such as we were, we gave ourselves outright. The deed of gift was many deeds of war to the land vaguely realizing westward, but still unstoried, artless, unenhanced, such as she was, such as she would become.
However, within 3 years, Frost's Camelot image of America would be shattered. Frost, the symbol of the old guard, the old America, would die on January 29, 1963. 10 months later, Kennedy, the symbol of America's enduring spirit and forwardness, would be dead at the hands of an assassin in Dallas, Texas.